So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining our session. We have Rick Bennett here. He is an expert on Acumatica and Avalara and the integration between the two. So he's going to kind of cover the basics today and just kind of walk you through why you need sales tax automation, what it is, all that good stuff. So I'm not going to waste any time. Rick, go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Bennett, a senior sales executive here at Avalara. Prior to coming to Avalara, I was an actual Acumatica reseller where I've sold, implemented, and customized Acumatica for several years. With that being said, I'd like to jump into what we're going to be talking about today. So, know why sales tax matters, when to collect the sales tax, the industries that are mostly affected by sales tax. We'll dive into the 5 Ws and what your next steps could be with regards to automating your sales tax compliance. So, why sales tax matters? There's the states nowadays, there's a majority of the states that depend on sales tax as a source of revenue. Businesses are agents of the states, and you are required to collect and remit the sales tax on behalf of the states. States will be hiring in the near future CPA firms as 1099, the CPA firms, and hiring college graduates to help them with audits and due to decrease in revenues from sales tax. So this is why it's important and why sales tax matters for your company, to make sure that you're crossing those T's and dotting the I's with compliance to make sure you stay ahead of the curve of what the states are planning to do to increase their revenues. So when to collect the tax. So sales tax is, businesses are required to collect the sales tax when certain conditions are met. These conditions are known as Nexus. And Nexus comes in different forms. There is what we call physical Nexus, and which is the most common form of Nexus, having a place of business or an office, a warehouse, remote employees, inventory, are forms of physical Nexus. Using Amazon to fulfill orders for a company can end up causing you to have physical nexus in the state by Amazon having your inventory in that state, or multiple states for that matter. Economic nexus is another form of nexus, and this nexus is a newer form of nexus and has to do with it's hitting certain dollar amounts or transactional volume in a state. And so, and it doesn't matter if your sales in the state are 100% exempt or 100% taxable. It's based on, again, on dollars into the state or transactional volume in the state. Most states say that if you sell $100,000 in taxable and non-taxable sales, or 200 orders, that you could have triggered economic nexus into that state. And again, it will be your responsibility to register in that state and collect and remit the sales tax. In case you didn't know, it is illegal for your company, for a business, to collect and remit sales tax, or to collect the sales tax, unless you're registered in that state. I want to make sure that you fully understand this. Whatever you do, when we're done with this webinar, don't say, hey, Rick Bennett said we need to register in these states if we triggered economic nexus. There are certain things that you want to make sure before you register in a state that you want to make sure that you don't have a large liability. Highly recommend that you consult your CPA. Hopefully your CPA firm is what we call a SALT practice, which is a sales and local tax. If they're not, Avalara will be more than happy to help you out and identify what your exposure might be in these states. If you register in a state and you have a large liability, then you're going to have to pay that liability to the state. So before registering in that state, you might want to identify if you have the large liability, and perhaps consider doing what is known as a volunteer disclosure agreement, which what the VDA can do for you is help will reduce the look-back period for a particular state. Typically, the look-back period when you do a VDA is 3 to 4 years. Without the VDA, the look-back period can be, in some cases, infinite, a look-back period, where the state can identify where you might have a larger liability than what you thought you might have had. So, and then the other thing is abating penalties that you might have to pay due to not paying the taxes when they were due. Other forms of nexus, as you can see here, are click-through nexus, and that is basically like banner ads, and where you're having businesses directed to your business through a different state. There's also affiliate nexus, and this is it's caused by either a parent company or a sister company having nexus in the state, which can cause your company to have nexus in the state, depending on how the company's held and managed as a corporation. And lastly is the marketplace. If you're selling on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and alike, those facilitators, excuse me, are supposed to collect and remit the sales tax on your behalf. So those are the different forms of nexus. These are the types of my slide. There we go. These are the types of nexus that you can identify. I've covered most of them just now in the prior slide, but a few others I'd like to bring to your attention are attending a trade show. Leasing equipment could be also a nexus triggering event. Again, contracting, a 1099 contractor could cause you to have a nexus in the state, and even doing drop shipments. So if your company's doing drop shipments into state, that can trigger economic nexus in that state that you're perhaps doing the drop shipments on behalf of your customers. So what is economic nexus? The Supreme Court in June of 2018 heard a case of South Dakota versus Wayfair and voted and ruled in favor of South Dakota, which then triggered where economic nexus is now required for companies to collect and remit the sales tax if you've triggered certain events. Again, most of the thresholds in these states for economic nexus say if you do $100,000 in gross sales, that is taxable, non-taxable sales, or 200 transactions, a transaction being an invoice or an order into the state, then you've triggered economic nexus, and your obligation is to collect and remit this, or to register and collect and remit the sales tax. Physical presence supersedes economic nexus. So if you're based in California, it doesn't matter what the economic thresholds are in California. It's based on you're selling remotely into another state that you don't have physical presence. The industries that are highly or mostly affected, you've got retailers, technology companies, and manufacturers. On the retailer end, you might have a storefront. That storefront gives you physical presence in that state. However, due to recent times, a lot of retailers are now selling online, and those online sales could end up triggering economic nexus in the remote states that they're selling into. Again, by hitting a $100,000 threshold in most cases, or 200 orders into a state, and even having a vendor do a drop shipment on your behalf into that state could it still counts towards your transactional volume into that state, and also affects your manufacturer or distributor that is doing that drop shipment on your behalf, will affect their economic nexus. Technology companies such as acuCONNECT and Avalara, we're both what is known as software as a service, and we sell software as a subscription, and that can give a technology company nexus in a state, and it's actually tricky. When Avalara or when you purchase Avalara or acuCONNECT, and if you're based in California, you will not be paying sales tax on that subscription. But by that same exact software, and you're based in the state of Washington, you will be paying tax on that software. And a company based in Texas buying the same exact subscription will be paying tax at 80% of the going tax rate, and that's all handled by tax rules in a tax engine that you subscribe to. And Avalara is able to handle these rules from one state sale to another state sale with little to no human intervention at all. So the 5 W's. A company, what is the sales tax automation? So Avalara, again, we're a company that's been 17 years in the business of automating sales tax. There's other providers in this in the space of acuCONNECT. So I'm not making this Avalara specific. This is more about just sales tax compliance and so forth. So what are you looking for in an automated tool? You're looking for something that integrates into your ERP, maybe your shopping cart, and that can manage the state registrations for you, and have everything perhaps under one roof of compliance and not having to outsource things, and keeping all the software and everything working seamlessly. Can file your returns to you, whether it be at the local level, at the state level. There are some providers that cannot remit at the local level, but may be able to do it at the state level. Some providers that can't, that have to charge you for all the services. Other providers, such as Avalara, can offer you free services in half the country for services, which I'll get into in a few moments here. So who needs sales tax compliance? Again, most businesses can benefit from the automating the sales tax compliance. If you're out there outsourcing your payroll or other your human resources, it's the same thing with outsourcing Avalara and taking the entire burden off of your company, and having our team of experts do all the research for the taxabilities, the rates, the boundaries, and how your products and services are taxed. All that burden goes on our team of experts that manage all that compliance, and everything's on the cloud. Nothing will be in your ERP. Nothing will be in your shopping cart. Again, it's all managed on the Avalara platform, which may be different than how other providers do it for you. But again, these are the kinds of things that you're looking for in the industries and so forth. And you're looking for the ROI. You've got a single location opposed to multiple locations. You're going to have 4 people or 10 people in your company having to manage the compliance. So the cost of compliance has definitely gone up a lot over the years, especially after the ruling of the Supreme Court ruling of South Dakota versus Wayfair in 2018. Compliance has become far more complicated. Companies back in those days, there's an independent report done by the Aberdeen Group, and they did an independent report, said most companies, small companies, will spend north of $60,000 a year internally to stay on top of their compliance. And this report here is talking about in 2014, it took typically about 4 people to manage the compliance if you're selling in multiple states, and now that number's up to 6 people. Companies are spending close to 40 hours a month in managing the compliance. And people think about sales tax as to, oh, it's just a tax engine. Well, here's the tax rate. There's a lot more that goes into it. It is managing whether you have Nexus and staying on top of that Nexus, and especially nowadays, staying on top of the economic Nexus and making sure that month in and month out where you are with those sales into those states. And that's very time consuming to stay on top of all the sales and what's happening in those economic Nexus states. They've changed from the beginning of 2018 to where they might have been collecting $250,000, and now they're down to $100,000 in their threshold. So again, staying on top of all that stuff. As you can see here, the study shows that 43% of the companies here still do things the hard way with paper and filing cabinets and so forth, and automating the process here. And a single audit could, give an auditor can find, locate the $300,000 plus in past due taxes and so forth, in automating, and why you should consider automating. So the automation process, again, in our world, it's accurate. Again, our technology will use latitude and longitude coordinates to get you rooftop accuracy for the state, the county, the city, and any special local tax rates. And we will return that result back to the calling program, whether it be an ERP such as acuMatica or shopping cart, and send back the results in efficiently, quickly, and it'll also help with your staffing in-house, because it's efficient and nobody has to be a sales tax expert. Your customers will be satisfied because you're giving them accurate tax rates on the products types that you're servicing. Items could be taxed with taxing holidays. There are taxing holidays around school time, when kids are going back to school and buying uniforms or school equipment that they might need, supplies. There could be taxability of a shirt that you buy. In some states, they have thresholds, and like New York, for example, you buy $110 shirt, that shirt is taxable. Buy that same shirt the next day that's on sale, that shirt is not taxable if it's less than $110. And this is, how the customer satisfaction can come in with applying the proper tax rates when calculating. And then mitigating the risk, in automating the process, just like you would with trying to mitigate risk with automating your payroll or maybe HR and so forth. And as your business grows, acquiring different companies, growing to different states is another reason why you want to consider automating your sales tax. So when should you do it? Companies often, when you're perhaps being looked at by a capital group that's acquiring your company, they'll want to have the part of the due diligence and making sure that you're sales tax compliant. When your company is growing or you're looking to offer new services and product line and creating new divisions and so forth. And it could be because your exposure, you are growing in multiple states, and these are good reasons why you might want to consider automating the tax, and especially perhaps after an audit and having a large liability when during that audit. So, now is the time, as I kind of mentioned earlier, with these states, most of the states requiring or having the revenue from sales tax and being hit hard over the past couple of years here of a lack of sales tax. Those states are now going to be looking to hire again CPA firms and college graduates to go out and audit companies. So now would be a great time to consider automating and getting ahead of the curve with those businesses when those states start coming around and start auditing companies. Again, the rules are changing continually as to the rates and the boundaries of the taxation. There's over 13,000 taxing jurisdictions in the U.S., and trying to stay on top of all those jurisdictions is very time consuming. And the more products that you sell and the types of products and offering drop shipments and so forth could make the complexity of sales tax compliance very difficult to stay on top of. You're looking for a solution that can help you automate everything, a solution that requires little to no human intervention. Some solutions out there require you to continually map your customers to a tax zone. Others require you to validate the addresses continually and so forth. And there's ways that that you can partner with a provider such as Avalara, for instance, where all that stuff is automated with no human intervention at all in figuring out the proper sales tax rates. So, and how to choose the right taxation solution. Okay, there's differences between good solutions and great solutions. You are looking for the tax calculations. There are some solutions out there that calculate the tax rates at the zip code level. You can have a dozen tax rates in a zip code. You can have multiple counties and multiple states in a single zip code. So, that might just be a good enough solution for you. Again, I mentioned earlier, Avalara uses latitude and longitude coordinates and gets you rooftop accuracy and in less than a half a second back to the calling program. There's, the collection of exemption certificates. Some providers are unable to collect exemption certificates, or if they do, they can only tell you if the sale is exempt or not exempt. Some other providers, such as Avalara, not only are we able to tell you if the customer was exempt or not, but we can manage the type of exemptions, whether it's agricultural, tribal, whether it's manufacturer, and we can prorate the tax rate that's due based on the tax, the type of exemption certificate. And again, other providers can only just tell you that it is exempt or not, and therefore you're on the hook for that delta between what you should have collected at a prorated tax rate for a manufacturer, and you weren't able to do it. Timely and managed returns. Some providers only allow you to run a report, and you have to fill out the returns on your own. Some of them will fill out a return, and you have to cut a check and mail it the returns themselves. Or you can use a provider such as Avalara where we will file and remit your returns with, again, little to no human intervention, and we'll remit that whether it's a hard copy or digital copy to all the taxing jurisdictions. And Avalara can remit at the local level as well as the state level, and other providers can only do state level. And then again, the reporting as to being able to fill out the returns and so forth. So I kind of covered both good and great solutions and how to be able to identify, and if you're growing and you're looking to get to international sales and so forth, we can help you here and domestically. We can help you in Canada and in over 200 countries around the world with regards to international sales. And put in plugins. You can put in the plugin into your shopping cart where the plugin will help automatically at the time of shopping, just like you would in Amazon. You would identify the customs and the duties and the tariffs and what might be, so you would know, so your customer would know exactly what the cost of that widget or service that you're, well, would be more of a widget that you're selling to their doorstep in London, England, from here in the US. And Avalara can help you calculate that and plug it right into your system. Some providers aren't able to have a point of sale solution or plug into your ERP, and it would be a disconnected solution. We have, in our world of Avalara, we're able to plug it into over 1,000 different solutions, from ERPs to shopping carts and so forth. So it is a good time to start. Anytime's a good time to start. You know, when again, physical presence, your economic presence, and causing you to expand in these different states, and considering automating the process. If you're expanding to different states and staying on top of the curve and so forth, we do have a free economic risk assessment. You can always go to Avalara's website. At the top of the website, it says resources, and right from there, there's a free economic risk assessment. So it's only monitoring your economic exposure. You plug in some basic information, and you'll get a nice PDF report at the end of that, and it will tell you what your economic exposure could be. These are also, I mentioned kind of earlier that Avalara is we can offer you free services in half the country. Avalara is a provider of the Streamlined Sales Tax Program. This SST program in these white states could give you our free services if you qualify. To qualify, you must not have a fixed place of business in the one particular state for more than 30 days. So you might be disqualified in one state, but you could still take advantages of the other states. So again, no fixed place of business for more than 30 days, and you cannot have payroll or property in excess of $50,000 in the one state. So you might be disqualified in Nevada and still be able to take advantage of the other 23 states. Pennsylvania, highlighted here in gray, is not part of the program, but they still give you the free services of Avalara services. And what do you get for free? You get, as it shows you on the right-hand side there, you get free state registrations. It's free to enroll in the program. You will work closely with an Avalara specialist in registering in this program to enroll in the program. Your sales tax calculations in these states, and again, you can pick to choose one or all the states. It's up to you in which states you want to enroll in. In the past, it used to be an all or nothing, but that changed several years back. Your calculations will be free. We will remit your returns. We'll prepare them and remit your returns for you for free in these states as well. If you ever get audited in any of these states, you get free audit representation from Avalara, and you'll be using uniform definitions and rules that for these states, and everything gets rolled up into a single registration ID in these states. So this is a great benefit in partnering with Avalara with the Streamlined Sales Tax Program. Kind of mentioned a little earlier, as with Avalara, everything is under the umbrella of Avalara. You don't have to go out and, unlike other providers, they can't help you with the state registrations. You've got to go on the state website and determine what forms you need to fill out to register in the state. They can't help you with other different things. Again, when you partner with Avalara, everything is under the umbrella of Avalara. We can help you with the sales tax calculations that integrate again into your ERP, such as acuMatica. By the way, Avalara is native to acuMatica. acuMatica maintains all the source code to our tax engine, which is known as AvaTax, and acuMatica themselves uses Avalara internally for their own sales tax compliance. On the returns, again, we will remit your returns for you at the local level and the state level, whether it's a hard copy or digital copy, with a single ACH debit on the liability that's due. And we only debit your account for the liability that's due. If you have returns that are not due just yet for next month or the month after that, because they're quarterly returns, we will not debit your account until that amount is due. Documents. We can, again, I've talked about the documents, which are exemption certificates. We can manage all of your exemption certificates for you. Licenses. We can help you for registering in a state. We can help you manage your business licenses from state to state of your multiple locations, have businesses in multiple locations. Avalara can automate that process and tell you the types of licenses that are required in a state or that city and so forth with an automated solution as Avalara's license management. The fiscal, if you guys are expanding and growing and selling globally, we can help you with filing your VAT returns and staying on top of all the filings and whether to register and how to register in those countries. And insights, we've got tool sets, a portal to give you unlimited access to a tax research expert. We can help you identify what your widgets are and how they're taxed in the state or the services you're offering, whether they're registered in the state, whether you need to also remit an income tax in the state. And all this is done by our portal that gives you unlimited access to tax research expert. We have over 30,000 customers worldwide using our solution with over 1,000 integrations into different systems. Our service is offered or hosted on AWS, where there's redundancies and redundancies and multiple backups and so forth, in multiple data centers and so forth. So our solution is a cloud-based solution. So anyhow, in wrapping this up, Avalara is here to help you stay informed. We can help you with with the COVID hub, even though COVID's slowly ramping down. There's laws by state and so forth. Once again, everything's under the umbrella of Avalara. So I'd like to thank you for your time. I know we have a few minutes left here. I'd love to open up if anybody has any questions. You can submit those through the chat and be happy to answer any questions.
We did have a question about use tax, Rick. So if you want to address how Avalara handles use tax, that would be great.
Sure. So Avalara has the ability to handle all your use tax in manufacturing, construction companies. They all have a use tax obligation. Unfortunately, the use tax module within acuMatica is not integrated on the PO/AP side of our tax engine. The limitation is on that integration. But again, Avalara has full capability of remitting all your use tax obligations for you. What typically happens, and we have a lot of construction companies and manufacturers that use our solution. What happens is the acuMatica partner can write a report for you, and you would literally drag and drop that Excel file into AvaTax, and AvaTax will consume all that information and remit your use tax obligation. Again, whether it's at the local level or the state level, we will automate that process and remit the use tax obligation for you. Hopefully that answered the question on use tax.
Great. I didn't see any other questions come in, so I think we are ready to wrap up. I just wanted to make sure to invite everybody to our happy hour today, and I hope you paid attention because there will be a quiz, maybe a couple of questions on it. But we will give prizes. We'll have not a trivia contest, but a little game to play. So hopefully you can all join us. I do have a bet, not really a bet, with somebody over on the other chat about taking a shot of tequila. So if Noah shows up, let him know. I'm ready. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you joining us today. Thank you, Rick, for a great presentation. And you can always reach out to us through the portal here. Hop in if you have any additional questions or would like somebody to contact you.